Flashback.
You see? Look, I'm pulling it out right now.
Yeah, I see it.
Of it.
Yep. It broke again. The bolt broke.
We went everywhere we could find them. He just ordered them, I guess, through ProCharger or whatever he did.
I literally put the part numbers online and got the bolt. Like this is their hardware. Crazy.
Broke off clean in there. So literally to get that out, I mean,
so
it would need to either be drilled and extracted, which to do that, the crank support's got to come off, fan's definitely going to have to come out because you're going to need to get a drill.
The bolt, I don't think you all can see it, but you definitely can't. But the bolt, it's stuck in the timing cover again, which isn't good. Man.
Here you go.
That's crazy. Oh, yep, there you go. We're at the shop and the crank support is off. ProCharger is here. They went ahead and removed it. We still got to get the bolt extracted out of the timing cover because that is going to be a whole job, but this is pretty much everything that came off my car. 3 of the bolts, obviously the one bolt that's broken is not right here. This is part of the crank support, hardware, and bearings. All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hopefully you guys are having a great rest of your day, start to your day, whatever time it may be. This is gonna be another update video for y'all. We have good news as well as bad news in this video, depending on how you take it. We're starting off the vlog inside the car of the S650. I'm actually headed home right now. This is gonna be a pretty interesting week. We have a number of car shows to go to and potentially some Mexico action. Clean Culture is this weekend, which is actually pretty cool. Last year, Clean Culture, I pulled up in the Shelby GT350 when it was NA, and this year we're gonna be pulling up in the S650, obviously NA. But I do have an update on the Shelby GT350 for y'all. Now, if you guys are unaware, I have been dealing with an issue with the ProCharger crank support bolt. I'm not gonna go into detail in this video. I've dropped numerous videos, you know, pretty much documenting my entire experience with the ProCharger crank support bolt and the issues I have been having. A lot of you guys have been giving your opinions and advice on how to either fix the issue or go about the issue, and I really do appreciate that. A lot of people were reaching out, you know, not only, you know, ProCharger customers, but also other shops as well, to kind of figure out exactly what's going on, because this is weird. It's incredibly weird. It should not be happening, and I refuse to believe that I am the only person that has ran into an issue like this with the Shelby GT350, because majority of the people who have ProChargers are obviously going to be 5.0 Coyote owners, and this issue, from what I have read and what I've been told, doesn't happen often. The bolt has backed out, but it isn't necessarily snapping. Now, if it was just backing out, it would simply just be to retighten it, you know, when I see that the mark from the paint has, you know, moved from the center position. Yes, it still would be kind of irritating to do that, but at least it's not going to cause the car to be down for a period of time, or an extended period of time, if damage is caused, aka the bolt snapping and potentially going ahead and throwing off the belt alignment and tossing both the supercharger belt as well as the accessory drive belt. Now, after going ahead and, you know, reading all your guys' suggestions, after going ahead and getting ProCharger's, you know, diagnostic back, after they went ahead and took the crank support that was off my car, they essentially said that they could not figure out exactly what was going on, why the bolt was snapping. They 100% told me that they've had reports of the bolt backing out, but never snapping. We have had others mention that they need to retighten bolts, but I don't have a record of anyone breaking bolts. The next plan of action was obviously going to be, this is kind of where I guess you could consider it bad news, would be to be removing the ProCharger kit for good off the vehicle. So as of right now, the ProCharger kit is not going on the Shelby GT350. Again, the kit is actually already sold, and we are going to be going another direction. So again, that is technically the bad news of this video, because I know a lot of you guys enjoyed the ProCharger setup on the Shelby GT350. I personally enjoyed the ProCharger setup on the Shelby GT350. It was never anything about the performance, because in my personal opinion, that D1SC with that 4.88 warranty pulley was putting in work. You know what I'm saying? That single digit boost, low boost, as everybody would go ahead and call it, and it was performing well against cars on double digit boost, turbo cars, PD blower cars. I thought the car was doing what it was supposed to be doing, and then some on the big wagon wheel pulley that it was on. We got the car to run 6s on 93, talking about 60 to 130. We got the car to run 5s on E85. We took it to Texas 2K, we raced it. We took it to numerous roll race nights here in Mexico. You ready? And it was a blast. It was an absolute blast. It's just unfortunate that the bolt just kept backing out, because it became a reliability issue. Because for me personally, my Shelby GT350, it's not a shop car, and I think there was a confusion with ProCharger and myself, that I believe they thought it was kind of like a shop car, because obviously I'm close with Pat, but it's not a shop car. It is my personal car. I drive the car quite literally on a daily basis. I was driving it to get groceries. I was driving it just to quite literally drive it. I was driving it to do day-to-day errands. I was driving it to car meets, cars and coffee, literally to Dallas to race, Mexico to race. It wasn't a shop car that would be just pulled out when it was time to get down. It was something that I was driving regularly. So going ahead and testing out multiple different bolts, going ahead and drilling and tapping the timing cover, that was something that personally I was not going to do, because it was just unnecessary. And number two, all that costs money. Pat labor is not cheap. Parts are not cheap. If you've been in the car scene for longer than 6 months, that that parts are not cheap, especially if we're talking about parts on a Shelby GT350. It's not really worth going ahead and playing Russian roulette with a $30,000 long block, experimental bolts or whatever. Drilling and tapping the timing cover is I'm not gonna go ahead and do that. Shop car, cool, but for me personally, I feel like that R&D should have been done a decade ago when the car released. I couldn't even drive when the Shelby GT350 first released. The ProCharger kits were out before I even had my license. So it's just there's absolutely no way that I was gonna go ahead and R&D with a $30,000 engine. Yeah, that could be content, but at the end of the day, it's just that's not content that I want to make, and it's also not content that I'm in the position to make, because it's not a shop car. So there's that. Now, to add to all of this, ProCharger actually did reach out yesterday after I did go ahead and release both my video on the findings, or I should really say lack of findings, with the crank support after they completed the quality control check, and also dropped an Instagram post. They actually did reach out to me and say that there could potentially be another bolt that could be used that would hopefully prevent it from backing out or at the very least snapping. Because, you know, backing out is one thing because you can just go ahead and retighten it. It was the snapping that was really going ahead and kind of getting me irritated and causing issues, because, you know, when the bolt snaps, essentially a lot of things have to be, you know, disassembled to go ahead and have access to that, because it is holding 2 pulleys as well as 2 belt drive systems. So it is a not really a complicated setup, but it definitely is a setup that I feel is troublesome if that bolt is backing out and snapping. But unfortunately, I will not be going ahead and testing that bolt out, because I actually, like I said previously, have already went ahead and sold the ProCharger kit. It is going to be going to a subscriber. I sold the kit as well as a brand new crank support, so I do wish him the best of luck. Technically, you do not need to run the crank support at the horsepower level that I was at. A lot of people were telling me to just go ahead and remove the crank support altogether, which is an option. I'm not 100% sure if the subscriber that is going to be running the ProCharger kit, if he is going to be utilizing the crank support. But the crank support was bought and installed at the same time that I did get the ProCharger kit installed, because the reasoning why I went ahead and installed the crank support was I was planning on going ahead and pulling the car down, essentially to make over 900 horsepower. And at that level, you know, some people will say you don't need the crank support, some people will say you do need the crank support. It was just one of those supporting modifications that I wanted to go ahead and get installed, just so I'd have that peace of mind. Just like doing old pump gears and crank sprocket, which were also done at the same time. So since everything was legitimately taken apart, and you have to go ahead and, you know, remove all that to do the crank support, obviously not old pump gears and crank sprocket, but you have to go ahead and remove all the pulleys to go ahead and do the old pump gears and crank sprocket, just like you have to do to install the ProCharger kit. I felt like it was, you know, a good time to do everything at the same time. But, you know, it is what it is. So I did want to go ahead and put that out there. The kit is sold. It is going to a subscriber. You know, everything that he needs is going to be provided, and he can run the crank support if he wants. And, you know, hopefully, you know, he has no issues. But again, at the same time, I have a hard time believing that it's only my car that was having issues. But again, you know, if he puts it on the car and, you know, he goes out, races it, you know, and has no issues, that is 100% amazing. And again, I wish him the absolute best of luck. And finally, what I am going to add to this video, which is going to be the good news, I wanted to go ahead and get, you know, the quote-unquote bad news out there first. The ProCharger kit is sold. We have a new power adder that is going to be going on the car that will be arriving the end of next week. So stay tuned for that. I am super excited for this. This is going to be very interesting. The car theoretically should make more power for the same amount of boost that the ProCharger kit was pushing out. It was on the 4.88 pulley, so that's going to be roughly like 8 to 9 pounds. It should be making more power per pound of boost, so you can go ahead and make an assumption on the route that we are going to be going. I did go ahead and tease it on my Instagram yesterday, but yeah, let me know down in the comment section what you guys think is going to be going on the car. Getting super excited. We're going to be saving weight, we're going to be making more power, and the car is going to have the potential to make way more power than the D1SC head unit was capable of making on the Shelby GT350. So want to go ahead and update you guys because it's been kind of a weird 3 weeks. Haven't been able to make content with the Shelby GT350. The ProCharger kit issues we've been having for, you know, for the most part, the last, like, I'd say 8 months. All that is done, and we are going to be moving on to bigger and better things, so to say. How everybody likes to say it. We're moving on to bigger and better things. Quite literally a bigger power adder. So if you guys enjoy the content on the channel, again, I want to go ahead and just update you guys. No, I'm not throwing shots, no, I'm not throwing shade, you know, at ProCharger, because they did not have to go ahead and first off come to the shop to do the quality control check. They did not have to come to the shop at all to go ahead and remove the parts off my car. They could have charged me for that, and on top of that, they did not have to respond to me whatsoever. So I do appreciate all that. I do appreciate that, you know, from the team over there at ProCharger. That is some great customer support. But for me personally, I'm gonna do what's best for, you know, myself, as well as best for my car. It not being a shop car, you know, R&Ding and whatnot, it's just something that I am not willing to do, just for the fact that, you know, this is an expensive, very expensive hobby. And I feel that, you know, first of all, I know that I'm not in the position to go ahead and be just, you know, playing around with a $30,000 engine. And on top of that, I just feel like, you know, it should have been done a decade ago. You know, I should not be having these issues. And hopefully, you know, I'm the only person that's been having this issue. And, you know, the subscriber that has the ProCharger kit now is going to have, you know, a flawless and fantastic time. Again, it was never about performance. That D1SE kit put in work, but now it's time to go ahead and experience another kit and turn it up a notch. So yeah, if you guys enjoy, feel free, drop a like on the vid, subscribe to the channel, turn those post notifications. It's been your boy Ears. Hopefully you guys can hear me. You know, driving on the highway and I got my AC going on. I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one, y'all. Deuces.